Stop struggling with threading a needle. Try these simple tips to thread a needle in just a few seconds. Hello everyone, it's Nancy here. Even if your eyesight is not as sharp as it used to be or your hands are a little shaky, today's tips may surprise you. They can make threading a needle much faster, easier, and far less frustrating. Let's get started. The first tip is a needle threading trick using something I bet most of us already have at home, a simple safety pin. Start by laying the sewing thread across your index finger. Hold it gently so the thread stays straight and doesn't move around too much. Next, take the needle and position the eye of the needle directly over the thread. This helps keep everything aligned and makes the next step much easier. What's great about this method is that it doesn't require any special sewing tools. A simple safety pin can do the job surprisingly well. Now, carefully open the safety pin. Using the pointed end, insert it through the eye of the needle from underneath. As you do this, catch a small loop of the thread resting on your finger. Once you've hooked the thread, gently pull the safety pin back through the eye of the needle. Look at that. The thread follows right along and slips through the eye of the needle in just a few seconds. It feels incredibly easy even if you've struggled with threading needles in the past. This tip is especially helpful for older adults, people with shaky hands, or anyone whose eyesight isn't as sharp as it used to be. Once you try this trick, you may find yourself reaching for a safety pin every time you need to thread a needle. Your husband's hair wax can also be a helpful tool for threading a needle in the blink of an eye. One of the most common reasons threading a needle becomes difficult is that the end of the thread becomes frayed. The tiny fibers separate, making it almost impossible to pass the thread smoothly through a small needle eye. To fix this, take a small amount of wax and gently rub the end of the thread across the surface. You only need a very thin coating. Next, gently roll the end of the thread between your fingers to shape it into a smooth, pointed tip. See the difference? The thread becomes firmer and much easier to control. Now, simply guide the pointed end through the eye of the needle. Instead of bending, splitting, or catching on the edge of the needle, the thread slips through much more easily. What I like most about this method is its simplicity. There's no need to make a special tool or use any complicated technique. If you've ever struggled with a frayed thread that refuses to cooperate, give this tip a try. It's quick, inexpensive, and surprisingly effective. Do you have a simple needle threading trick you use at home? Share it in the comments. I always enjoy learning new helpful tips from you. As a thank you for watching all the way to this point, I'd like to share one of the most surprising needle threading tricks I've ever seen. First, take a clean razor blade and carefully cut it in half like this. To make it safer to handle, use scissors to trim away the sharp outer edge of the blade. Be careful because the blade is very sharp. Now gently shape one end into a small point. Then cut a small notch into that pointed end. This tiny notch will help hold the thread in place as you pull it through the eye of the needle. Now, take your needle and insert the pointed end of the modified razor blade through the eye of the needle. Because the blade is extremely thin, it can easily pass through even very small needle eyes. Once the pointed end is through, place the thread into the small notch you created earlier. Hold the needle firmly with one hand and gently pull the razor blade back through the eye of the needle. As the blade slides out, the thread will follow right behind it. With one smooth motion, the thread passes through the needle, without bending, fraying, or slipping away. This method turns a simple household item into something truly useful. With a little creativity, even a simple razor blade can become a helpful tool that makes threading a needle faster, easier, and far less stressful. People think they need a special needle threader from the store, but in reality, you can make one at home that lasts a long time using nothing more than a drinking straw and a broom bristle. Start by cutting a single plastic bristle from a household broom. Choose one that is straight and sturdy. Next, cut a short piece of a drinking straw to use as a handle. Fold the broom bristle in half to create a small loop at one end. This loop will be the part that passes through the eye of the needle. Once the bristle is folded, insert the two loose ends into the piece of straw. To secure everything in place, carefully warm the end of the straw for a moment so it tightens around the bristle. After it cools, you'll have a simple homemade needle threader that is easy to hold and comfortable to use. To use it gently, insert the loop through the eye of the needle. Then pass the sewing thread through the loop and pull the tool back through the eye of the needle. The thread will follow easily, even when working with surprisingly small needle eyes. Believe me, this method gives you a reusable tool instead of just solving the problem once. When you're finished, simply place it in your sewing kit and use it again whenever needed. It takes only a few minutes to make, costs almost nothing, and can save you a lot of frustration later on. By the way, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Let me know in the comments below. I always enjoy hearing from viewers around the world. Try a few of these methods and keep the one that works best for you. I hope today's tips make your sewing projects easier and more enjoyable. Take good care of your eyes. Be patient with yourself and enjoy the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. Happy sewing, and I'll see you in the next video.